Hey doing, my name is Yannick and in this video we'll be upgrading from the Klipsch 250C speaker to the THX 8000L speaker. I loved my 250C, but because I have a acoustically transparent screen, I went ahead and got a in-wall speaker. I won't talk about these specifications, but on the screen I've just put some small details and I'll link you to the website down below. Now the first thing that you get out of the box is the owner's manual and this snap-on magnetic grille, which I won't be using because the speaker will be behind the screen. As you can see, the speaker is a sealed enclosure, which is one of the main reasons why I got this speaker, just so it can perform at its best regardless of its surroundings inside the wall. For example, if there's any cables or insulation or anything like that, it can just perform at its best. Another reason why I got this speaker was because I wanted a fairly decent upgrade, and also this room is somewhat my dream setup because I have the acoustically transparent screen and I'll have all three speakers behind the screen, so the dialogue and the sounds will come from the movie or feel like it's coming from the movie, um, feeling more cinema-like instead of the sound coming from under the screen. And I know that I'm going to have these speakers for a very long time, so I wanted to, in a way, go all out, so I don't feel like that I want an upgrade down the track. Okay, so let's get these speakers installed. Now the first thing that I wanted to do was make sure when I'm cutting into any plaster, I'm not cutting into any studs or noggins. Now this image here is the wall that we're working on right now. This image was taken 10 years ago when we were first building the house. So it's a really good image as a reference for me to see where I can place my speakers, and it's a really good way of showing you what it looks like in the walls. So in a second I'll go back to the video and you'll see that I've taken a measuring tape and put it inside a hole that I have created to run the audio cable through, and I'm just measuring the distance between that hole and the stud that's in the wall, and then I get a rough idea of where the stud is, and I take a small drill bit, drill into the wall until I feel any resistance. And so if the screw goes all the way through, then there's nothing there. But if I feel a bit of resistance, then that means there's a timber there, and so you just keep moving left or right until there is nothing there, and then that's a good indication exactly where the stud is. Now over here I'm just checking to see how far this little toggle that normally clamps onto the plaster sticks out of the speaker. So then when I make the hole, I'm not too close to the stud on the left, so the little toggle has room for it to spin. I think it's more about 45 degree, and that clamps onto the plaster when you screw it in. And over here I'm just checking to make sure that it's level, and I just mark out the wall. In this video I'm actually putting the tape where the tweeter and the cone is going to be roughly, and so I sort of sit down and make sure that it's at ear level, and I'm pretty happy with it, so I carry on with the work. Now this is where I come across my first problem. I like to triple check and make sure that I'm not going to cut into any timber, and lucky I did check, and I was about to cut into a noggin, which is right at the top of the speaker. And in this image here you'll see which noggin that I was about to cut into. So I just had to work out roughly how far I had to go down, and luckily it wasn't too far. It was only by maybe roughly 5 mil, and so I just had to use the template, remark the new position, and then start cutting the plasterboard. So again, a reminder to always take your time, and there's no rush in this. It's better off that you triple check and quadruple check, and so then it avoids you from doing any extra work afterwards, patching holes or anything like that. As you can see here, it's a clean cut used with the multi-tool. I try to use the multi-tool as much as I can where possible, just because it's a cleaner cut compared to a plaster saw. And in my opinion, if I use a multi-tool and I make a mistake, it's a lot easier to patch afterwards compared to a plaster saw. I'm pretty happy with that cut, and the only thing I had to do was just push down the power cable slightly just so it didn't get in the way. But this is me just trying the speaker in the wall. Looks good, level, and so I was ready to connect the speaker cables. And minor issue, but the second thing I came across was the speaker cable that I ran was a bit too long, so I just had to trim it slightly and repatch it and reconnect it to the speaker. Also, in the description below, I'll link all the tools that I use in this video. The cable stripper that I use, I find works very well on speaker cables. I've used other tools and I just find that it cuts the strands in the speaker, and I just find this tool works very well every single time. And if you're wondering, these are 14 gauge speaker wire. I am wondering if I should use 12 gauge. It's roughly 10 meters from the speaker to the amp. And so let me know in the comments below if you think that I should be using larger gauge speaker wires, or if 14 gauge would be fine. They are very high sensitivity, so I don't think I need larger. But yeah, let me know what you think. Now you might be wondering what I'm doing here, and I've come across my next problem. Unfortunately, the plaster is too thin. It is a standard 10 mil plaster board, but unfortunately, as you can see here, it's sort of popping out by 1 or 2 mils, and so I had to improvise. Once again, I had to remove the speaker and think about how I was going to increase the size of the plasterboard. So I thought about this long strip of timber that they normally use for plastering, and so all I had to do was just cut it to the height of the speaker, and I had to create two of these for both sides, and I just used a bit of liquid nail to glue it to the plaster, and that pretty much fixed the problem. I just had to be careful not to overdo it with the liquid nail, just so there wasn't too much to clean up afterwards. But this is just one of the problems that you might come across. I've never had this issue before, even though I've installed a few other in-wall speakers, but it is what it is. Sometimes you have to adapt and do the job as professional and clean as possible. And we're finally installing the speaker, just tightening all the screws, making sure that it's tight, clean around it, and you'll probably find 3 or 4 little holes. If this was a client install, I would normally patch and touch up those little holes, but this is my own install. The speaker is going to be behind the screen, so I'm never going to see those holes, but I'm pretty happy with the result. Over here, all I'm doing is measuring the distance between the speaker and the listening area. This is a good reference, so when I calibrate all my speakers, I can make sure that it picks up my center speaker as 3.1 meters from the listening area. And that's it. I hope you found this video informative and enjoyed it. I made this video so it would hopefully help you feel more comfortable installing your own in-wall speaker. And let me know if you have any suggestions or questions to this install, or anything else you wanted to see. I will be creating more videos like this, as I've done a lot to this theatre room and there's plenty more to do, so there will be plenty more to come. So I'll see you in the next video.